Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Gandhartika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashutara Shutta Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shri Gurudev Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashutara Shutta Shishimar Bhaktivedānta Vaman Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashutara Shutta Shishimar Bhaktivedānta Swāmī Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashutara Shutta Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashutara Shutta Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupa No Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Jai Śrīla Nityalila Pravishta Śrīla Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishta Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Balavatirtha Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Daita Madhav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Pramod Puri Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. All the associates of Jagat Guru Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Śrīla Baladevi Vibhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosai Pad Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath, Shar Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari, Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai, Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gora Mandala Braja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Padatta Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai Shri Amuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Jai Shri Rajendra Nandan Sham Sundar Shri Krishna Chandra Ki Jai Jai Shri Krishna Janmashtami Titi Ki Jai Jai Shri Nanda Baba Ki Jai Shri Yashoda Maya Ki Jai Shri Vasudev Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Devaki Devi Ki Jai Jai Shri. Let's go through all this. Let me just open up Radha Krishna Ganesh Tipika. We can go through different associates. 1 second. Okay. Right, that's what makes Krishna most happy. Wait, let me just. All right. I wasn't thinking to do this before, but I just. All right. Don't want to miss anybody. So, Shri Krishna's Parivara Ki Jai. Sarva Rajavasi Gana Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Lalita Vishaka Champakalata Chitra Tungavidya Induleka Rangadevi Sudevi Ki Jai Ashtasaki Gan Ki Jai Shri Kalavati Shubangada Hiranyangi Ratnaleka Shikavati Kandarpa Manjari Fula Kalika Ananga Manjari Ki Jai. Let's see. Let's go through Krishna's sakas. All of Krishna's Suhrit Sakas Ki Jai, the Priya Sakas Ki, the Sakas Ki Jai, Priya Sakas, Sridham and Sudam Ki Jai, Priya Narma Sakas, Subal Arjuna, Gandharva, Vasanta, Ujjvala, Kokila, Sanandana, Vidagda, Madhumangala, and Shri Daubhaya Balaram Ki Jai. Jai Shri, I skipped the Vatsalyaras. Here, let's go back here. Where is it? Okay, 1 second. I think it would be here. Okay, so Nanda Maharaj is, so Yashoda Devaki, yes. Rohini Devi ki jai. Then all of Krishna's uncles, Upananda and Abhinanda, those are Nanda Maharaj's older brothers, and his two younger brothers, Sanandana and Nandana ki jai. Jai. And then Upananda's wife, Tungi ki jai. Abhinanda's wife, Pivari ki jai. And Sunanda's wife, Kubalaya ki jai. Jai. And of course, Krishna's grandfather, Parjanya Maharaj ki jai. And Krishna's two aunts from his father's side, Sananda and Nandini ki jai. Jai. Krishna's maternal grandmother, Patala ki jai. Jai. Okay. Yashodhara ki jai. Yashodeva ki jai. Sudev ki jai. All of Krishna's maternal uncles ki jai. Jai. Anyhow, Sarva Vrajavasi Gan ki jai. Jai Shri Vrishabhanu Nandini Shrimati Radha Thakurani ki jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Sorry. All right. Thank you so much for joining. All right, let's do Mangala Charan. So I didn't actually have anything ready yet today, which is kind of normal for me, but let's do actually I just yesterday I sent in a special Mangala Charan for the Krishna section of the Gaudiya Giti Gucha. Hasn't been edited yet. So this is just going to be a very rough file. Should be in my recents. Hey, where is it? 1 second. Let me just find it. These are all the files I was working on yesterday. Okay. Pranam mantras for Krishna. Oh God, I'm a bit embarrassed about this translation, so you don't have to read them. Okay, I'll make this big. Oops. All right. Well, let's first do the basic Mangala Charan and then we'll move on to this. Ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai shri guruve namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo mahavadanyaya Krishna prema pradayate Krishnaya Krishna chaitanya namne gauratvishe namaha. He Krishna karuna sindhu dinabandhu jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Okay. So these are all obeisances to, these are pranam mantras to baby Gopal, Bal Gopal. Kararavindena padaravindam mukharavinde viniveshayantam Vrajeshwari kroda gatam hasantam balam mukundam manasa smarami. So the meaning is, with his lotus hand, baby Krishna places the big toe of his lotus foot into his mouth as he smiles, lying in the lap of the Queen of Braj, Mother Yashoda. My mind meditates, my heart remembers that Bal Mukunda. Now, this is from the Narad Pancharatra, and also Gotamiya Tantra. Ravina Nirada Shamam Nilandi Varalochanam Ballavi Nandanam Vande Krishnam Gopala Rupinam. He is darkish like a newly formed rain cloud, with his eyes resembling blue lotus petals. He is a darling son of the cowherdess, Mother Yashoda. I worship that Krishna in his form as a cowherd boy. As you can tell, these are very, like, my first translations are not very good usually. Right, okay. Gopeshwari vadana putkriti lola netram janu dvayena dharanim anusancharantam kanchinava smita sudha madura dharabhyam balam tamala dala nilamaham bhajami. It's from Sri Padyavali. The queen of the cowherd women, Mother Yashoda, softly blows on Krishna's face, making his eyes dart restlessly. He crawls around on the ground on his hands and knees. He appears most sweet with a fresh nectar-like smile gracing his lips. I worship that baby whose complexion is bluish like a tamal leaf. Sajala jala danila nyakrita shamalangam karatala drita shailam venu vadyanushilam madura madura lilam Śrīla gopala mallam Prajajana kula palam dimahi brahmamulam. Gopal's darkish complexion resembles a rain-laden cloud. He held the hill Govardhan by his hands. He is always playing his Venu flute. His pastimes are, I didn't know how to translate, Madhur Madhur Lila. His pastimes are sweet, sweet. They're sweeter than the sweetest. They're extremely sweet. They're charming and sweet. I don't know which is best. He is a beautiful and excellent cowherder who protects the residents of Braj. I remember he who is the source of the absolute. He's the original absolute. I think that last one's best. Dadi matana ninadyais tyakta nidra prabhate Nibrita padamagaram ballavinam pravishta mukha kamala samirar ashu nirvapya dipan kavalita navanita patumam bala Krishna. Awakened at daybreak by the sound of yogurt being churned, child Krishna silently slips into the homes of the cowherd ladies. With puffs of air from his lotus mouth, he swiftly blows out the lamps and devours their fresh butter. May that Bal Krishna protect me. Yeah, this is also from Padyavali. Savye pano niyamita ravam king. No, what's the meter for this? Okay, I got it. Savye pano niyamita ravam Kinkini dama dritva kubji bhuya praparagati manda mandang vihasya akshnur bhangya vihasita mukhir varayan samukhina matu paschar aharata harir jatu hayankantinam. Padyavali 143. With his left hand holding his jingling waist bells to silence them, to keep them from ringing, child Hari bent over and he slowly tiptoed along with a playful smile. With a crooked glance, he signaled the giggling gopis to stay quiet while he stole butter from behind his mother's back. Okay, so now meditate. Those are all the pranam mantras for Bal Gopal. Now meditation on the beautiful form of Sri Krishna. Parha pida biramam mrigamadatilakam kundalakranta gandam kanjaksham kambukantam smita subhagamukam swadare nyastavenum shamam shantam tribhangam ravikara bhushitam vaijayantya Vande Vrindavanastam Yuvati Shatavritam Brahmagopalavesham. His crown is decorated with a peacock feather, and his forehead is marked with tilak of musk. Makara-shaped earrings swing upon his cheeks. His eyes resemble a lotus. His neck resembles a conch, and his face is graced with a gentle smile. A Venu flute rests upon his lips. His complexion is darkish. He is supremely peaceful, and he stands in a threefold bending posture. His cloth resembles the rays of the sun, and he is adorned with a Vaijayanti garland. I worship that Parabrahma who is always situated in Sri Vrindavan, surrounded by hundreds of young maidens and dressed in the attire of a cowherd boy. Kasturi tilakam lalata patale vakshastale kostubam Nasagre varamoktikam karatale venukare kankanam sarvange harichandanam sulalitam kante chamuktavali gopastri pariveshtito vijayate gopala chudamani. It's from the Gopal Sahasranam. His forehead is decorated with musk tilak. The Kostuba jewel rests upon his broad chest, and an exquisite pearl hangs from the tip of his nose. The flute gracefully rests in his lotus hands, and bracelets adorn his wrists. His entire form is anointed with yellow chandan, Hari Chandan, and a necklace of pearls graces his attractive neck. That crest jewel of cowherders, who is surrounded by the wives of the cowherders, is ever victorious. Vangshi Nyastyasta Chandram Smita Yutamat. Now, what's the meter for this? Okay, that's it. Vangshi Nastyasa Chandram Smita Yutamatulam Pitavastram Varenyam Kanjaksham Sarvadaksham Navagana Sadrisham Barhachuda Sharanyam Tribhangar Bhangimanam Bhangimangam Rajayuvatiyutam Dvastakeshyadishuram Vande Shri Nandasunum Madhura Rasatanum Durya Madhurya Puram. Upon his shining moon-like face rests a Vangsi flute. His gentle smile exudes an incomparable brilliance, and he is attired in excellent yellow cloth. His eyes are like lotuses. He is expert in all arts, and his bodily complexion is like that of a fresh monsoon cloud. His head is adorned with a peacock feather. He is the shelter for those surrendered to him, and he stands in a delightful threefold bending posture. He is surrounded by the youthful maidens of Braj, and he subdues Keshi and other demons. I offer prayers to that Sri Nandanandan, the crest jewel of infinite sweetness and the very embodiment of Madhurya Ras. Pulindi Varakantimindu Vadanam Bharhavatangsa Priyam Shri Vatsankamudara Kostubadaram Pitambaram Sundaram Gopinam Nayanotpalarshitatanum Gogopa Sanghavritam Govindam Kalavenu Vadana Param Devyanga Bhusham Bhaje. It's from the Gopal Sahasranam. Also appears in Sri Padavali. Okay, I worship Govinda, whose complexion is the color of a blossoming blue lotus. His face is like the moon, and he is fond of wearing a peacock feather in his crown. His chest bears the mark of Srivatsa, and is adorned with the Kaustuba gem. He wears beautiful yellow garments, and his handsome form is worshipped by the gopis' sidelong glances. His companions are multitudes of cows and cowherd boys. He plays sweet melodies on the flute, and his body is decorated with glittering ornaments. So now here are the pranam mantras for Sri Krishna. Namo Nalina Netraya Venuvadya Vinodine Radhadara Sudapana Shaline Vanamaline. That's the second verse of Padyavali. I offer pranam unto he whose eyes are like lotus flowers, who merrily plays the flute, who is expert in drinking the nectar of Sri Radha's lips, and who is adorned with a garland of forest flowers. Now, this is Srimad Bhagavatam 10:73, 16 verse. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranata Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Upon Shri Krishna releasing them from the captivity, upon Shri Krishna releasing them from the captivity of Jarasandha, the 20,800 kings prayed as follows. They said, time and again, we offer pranam to Shri Krishna. He is the son of Vasudeva. He is Sri Hari. He is the supreme soul. He is Govinda. And he vanquishes the distress of all who surrender unto him. Now, this is famous. This is like a very standard general Krishna pranam mantra. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. This is uttered by Mahaprabhu also. I think in front of Jagannath, right? Yeah, I didn't actually know how to translate the Brahmana Devaya here, because it seems like very similar to Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Anyways, so I don't know about this translation. I need to get it checked. I offer obeisance to the Lord of all Brahminical persons, who is the well-wisher of the cows and Brahmins, to the benefactor of the whole world, who is known as Krishna and Govinda. I offer obeisances time and again. Oh, I made a translation for this yesterday. I didn't paste it in here though. Let's see. Bhava bhayam apahantum jnana vijnana saram nigamakridap apajhare bringavar vedasaram amritam udaditascha payayar brittavargan purusham rishabhamadyam krishna sangyam natosmi. That's from the 11th canto. It's the very last verse of the Uddhav Gita. Yeah, the very last verse. One second, you want to see my translation for it? I sent it to Vajanti Mala in a separate email. What is it? Here. Okay, so the meaning is, this is my translation, it needs to be checked, but Shri Krishna, the creator of the Vedas, or the author of the Vedas, has, like a bee, extracted the essence, the nectar of bhakti ras. That was from the translation of Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Saraswati Prabhupāda. He writes that. It's not directly in the verse, though. But yeah, so Krishna, like a bee, extracted the essence, the nectar of bhakti ras, from the Vedas, and the essence from all knowledge and its realization, to dispel the living being's fear of material existence. Drawing nectar from that ocean, he made his devotees drink it. I offer my pranam to that supreme personality, Shri Krishna, the original cause of all existence. All right, let's go back to the Mangalacharan here. So these will all be available in the Gaudiya Giti Gucha. Okay. Okay, Tavai Vasmi, na jivami tvaya vina, iti vigyaya devi tvam, nayamang charanantikam, bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay, kshiptastakama ditaranga madhe, Kripa Tvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining. Pranams, Kana Prabhu, Sarveshwari Mataji, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Anari Krishna Prabhu, Krishna Mai Didi. Let's see on YouTube and Facebook. Who is all there? Vrinda Didi, Haribol, and Amal Krishna Prabhu, Haribol, Raseshwari Mataji, Vidyalalasa Didi, and I see a few other devotees. Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much for joining. So our program today, I didn't know what to do. I was thinking maybe we could read from Krishna, Lord of Sweetness. Those are classes that my Gurudev gave in the 90s in Malaysia. Or we could read from Krishna book. I decided to go with Krishna book. So today's program is going to be a bit long. I don't have any time limit. Like we're not going to, well, there'll have to be some time limit because I need to go to Keshavji Gaudiya for Padmanabha Maharaj's program. But I don't know, this might be really long. Just wanted to give you the heads up. And yeah, we'll read from Krishna book, the first 3 chapters. Maybe not the full 2nd chapter. I don't know. Maybe we should just read it all. But yeah, it will take a few hours, maybe like 3 hours, I'm guessing. What time do I have to go? I have to right now.
Prabhuji?
Yeah, we'll read from Krishna book, the first 3 chapters. Maybe not the full 2nd chapter. I don't know. Yes.
Haribol.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you if when we can play this song, this Vatrini song that we arranged, and
yeah. What do you prefer, doing it now or at the end? We could do it either way.
Let me see. I can't hear. Wow. Yes, I did. Oh, there we go. Okay, Prabhu. Now I can hear you. Okay.
Yeah. So I was asking, would you prefer doing it now or at the end?
What do you want to do it now, Vatrini?
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
Sure, you can do it now.
Okay. All right, let's set up the phone.
Okay.
And we got the guitars. How do you knock the phone?
I don't know.
Or do you want to do it at the end so that you have time to set up?
Oh, no,
Maybe.
we won't take the song to set up. We just need to sit down and we're just singing into the phone.
Okay. And would you be able to turn on your camera?
Yeah, we will turn on our camera. Let's see. Is that work? Oh, the camera didn't turn. Okay, there. Then we'll have to get something to prop up the phone. Let's see.
There's no sound coming. You can't hear anything. Are you?
You can't hear anything?
No.
Oh, no. That's
I wonder if we should just continue because anyways, I don't know. Okay. Oh, he's back.
okay. Now the mic was muted. Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
The visual.
The visual one too. Hold on.
Can you hear us?
Yes. It's just the guitar we couldn't hear. I think it's because of that thing where it shuts off. It's the noise suppression thing. It shuts off any sound.
Just using the phone. Can you hear the guitar now?
Yeah.
My voice also? Can you
Yes.
hear me also? Okay.
Yes.
So we'll just do it like this. But you won't be able to see me. That's
No.
okay.
Well,
Because I can't, there's nothing for me to sit on. So if you, they can see you.
no, please.
No, no, please. We'll sing a little bit, and if you can't hear us, tell us, okay?
Yeah, there's no sound. There's no sound.
Okay, now it is.
Oh, okay.
The mic keeps shutting off. Maybe it was when you grabbed
When
it.
I moved it, I must have shut the mic off. Okay.
Gopala,
Gopala,
Devakinandana
Gopala, 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 Jashodananda, Gopala, 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 Devakinandana, Gopala, 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 Jashodananda, Gopala, Calvary boy, son of Devaki, Calvary boy, Calvary boy, Calvary boy, son of Yeshua, Calvary boy. You are here, Baki's son. Today, you appear as the holy on our tongue. Hey, you are here on the street. Before long,
There's no sound. They can't hear anything.
There's no sound.
you can't hear anything.
You know what would probably be best is if
Yeah.
maybe if you record it on your phone and then maybe the mic would work. Because every time we try it on Zoom, it never you can never really hear what you're saying or even the guitar or anything. It's like it's almost muted. It's like you can barely hear something.
Oh, see, the mic went off when shut off
Oh,
again.
the mic shut off again. So could
Well,
you
they
hear
recited.
nothing? Huh? Oh,
What to
okay.
recite it?
I don't know. Well, maybe we can okay.
But yeah, I think maybe a pre-recorded video, then maybe the sound would work rather than
Okay.
the
Okay.
It's just
Well,
every time.
I guess. Okay. All right. So we'll just not do it today because, you know, it's.
You can recite the poem.
Oh, okay. I can just sing it with it. You could play the guitar without trying to play it into the phone.
I'm not trying to play.
No, I mean, I was trying to get us both in the picture. And okay. Okay, well, can you hear me now? If I
Yeah.
just sing into the phone right now, like
Yeah.
Gopala, Gopala. Can you play the guitar?
You want to? Thank you.
Yes, if you play the guitar. No, no, just play the guitar so I get the right key. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. Go. Okay. Gopala, Devaki Nandana Gopala. Can you hear that? Okay.
Gopala,
Gopala, Jashoda Nandana Gopala. Gopala, Gopala, Devaki Nandana Gopala. Gopala, Jashoda Gopala. Your dear Saki son, today you appear the holy name on our tongue. May you appear on the feet of the before long. Could you understand that? No. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, okay, I can just say the poem. It was demoniac forces. Can you hear me? No. Oh, yes. Okay. Demoniac forces overburdened the earth. So Lord Kṛṣṇa came and he appeared to take birth. Appeared in Kamsa's prison to Vasudeva and Devaki, born to Nanda and Yashoda simultaneously. Today you appear as Devaki's son. Today you appear as the holy name on our tongue. May you appear on the lotus seed of our hearts before long. Appear to Vasudeva as the Supreme Personality, then took the form as an ordinary baby. Vasudeva's chains fell off, the guards became sleepy. Vasudeva took Kṛṣṇa to Vrindavan for safety. Today you appear as Devaki's son. Today you appear as the lowly name on our tongue. May you appear on the lotus feet of our hearts before long. In Gokula Vrindavan it was a joyous occasion. 6 months Nanda celebrated the birth of his sweet son. Many wondrous pastimes took place in that holy dawn. Most wondrous the unparalleled love for him by everyone. Today you appear as Nanda. Today you appear as the holy name on our tongue. May you appear on the lotus feet of our hearts before long. So let us all rejoice how our Lord Kṛṣṇa came. Enter into his realm by chanting the holy names. So let us all rejoice how our Lord Kṛṣṇa came. Enter his pastimes by chanting the holy names. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Yay. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Haribo.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Nuri Haribo, are you still singing? Huh. I don't know. They just muted and shut off the camera. Anyhow, Haribo Prabhu, I think you accidentally muted yourself and shut off the camera. Anyhow, I'm going to thank you so much for doing that, Nuri Hari Prabhu and Pavatarani Mataji. You muted yourself, but yeah, thank you so much. That was very beautiful. All right, so now we are going to read Krishna. Oh, Haribo?
Yeah, sorry. It's just that we have you on the screen on the TV on YouTube, and so I lowered the volume on that. And I don't know if this one was open or something happened, but yeah, we finished the song. I hope you can.
Okay.
You
You
heard
muted
it well.
yourself at the end there, so I
Oh no, my God! If something is wrong,
yeah, no problem. But yeah, that was very beautiful. We heard the song. I think it was on the
okay.
Mahamantra. You muted yourself.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't. Oh no. Okay,
Right.
but Chai.
Right. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for sharing. Haribo. So now we are continuing on with our program. We are going to read the first 3 chapters of Krishna book. This will probably take a few hours. I'm not sure if we'll be able to read it all because I have to go for another program. But we'll just see how far we get. All right. So I'm sharing my screen. Jai Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Swāmī Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. His Krishna book ki jai. All right. So chapter 1, the advent of Lord Krishna. Once, the world was overburdened by the unnecessary defense force of different kings, who were actually demons, but were posing themselves as the royal order. At that time, the whole world became perturbed, and the predominating deity of this earth, known as Bhumi, went to see Lord Brahma to tell her calamities due to the demoniac kings. Bhumi assumed the shape of a cow and presented herself before Lord Brahma with tears in her eyes. She was bereaved and was weeping just to invoke the Lord's compassion. She related the calamitous position of the earth, and after hearing this, Lord Brahma became much aggrieved, and he at once started for the ocean of milk, where Lord Vishnu resides. Lord Brahma was accompanied by all the demigods, headed by Lord Shiva, and Bhumi also followed. Arriving on the shore of the milk ocean, Lord Brahma began to pacify Lord Vishnu, who had formerly saved the earthly planet by assuming the transcendental form of a boar. In the Vedic mantras, there is a particular type of prayer called the Purusha Sukta. Generally, the demigods offer their prayers unto Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by chanting the Purusha Sukta. It is understood herein that the predominating deity of every planet can see the Supreme Lord of this universe. It is understood herein that the predominating deity of every planet can see the Supreme Lord of this universe, Brahma, whenever there is some disturbance on his planet. And Brahma can approach the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, not by seeing him directly, but by standing on the shore of the ocean of milk. There is a planet within this universe called Shvetadvip, and on that planet, there is an ocean of milk. It is understood from various Vedic literatures that just as there is an ocean of salt water on this planet, there are various kinds of oceans on other planets. Somewhere there is an ocean of milk, somewhere there is an ocean of oil, and somewhere there's oceans of liquor and many other types of liquids. The Purusha Sukta is the standard prayer which the demigods recite to appease the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kshiradakshai Vishnu. Because he is lying on the ocean of milk, he is called Kshiradakshai Vishnu. He is the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through whom all the incarnations within this universe appear. After all the demigods offered the Purusha Sukta prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they apparently heard no response. Then Lord Brahma personally sat in meditation, and there was a message transmission from Lord Vishnu to Brahma. Brahma then broadcasts the message to the demigods. That is the system of receiving Vedic knowledge. The Vedic knowledge is received first by Brahma, from the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the heart. As stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. The transcendental knowledge of the Vedas was transmitted to Lord Brahma through the heart. Here also, in the same way, only Brahma could understand the message transmitted by Lord Vishnu, and he broadcast it to the demigods for their immediate action. And so this goes with any kind of knowledge of the transcendental realm, which is beyond the grasp of our senses. This is the way to receive it. It's not by like just reading a book and trying to figure it all out. But no, it's something that's revealed in the heart like this. It's the point Srila Prabhupada is making. So the message that Brahma received from Lord Vishnu was this. The Supreme Personality of Godhead would appear on the earth very soon, along with his supreme powerful potencies. And as long as he remained on the earth planets to execute his mission of annihilating the demons and establishing the devotees, the demigod should also remain there to assist him. They should all immediately take birth in the family of the Yadu dynasty, wherein the Lord would also appear in the due course of time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Kṛṣṇa, would personally appear as the son of Vasudeva. Before his appearance, all the demigods, along with their wives, should appear in different pious families in the world, just to assist the Lord in executing his mission. The exact word used here is tat priyartam, which means the demigod should appear on the earth in order to please the Lord. Tat priyartam, that means in order to for the purpose of pleasing the Lord. In other words, any living entity who lives only to satisfy the Lord is a demigod. The demigods were further informed that Ananta, the plenary portion of Lord Kṛṣṇa, who is maintaining the universal planets by extending his millions of hoods, would also appear on earth before Lord Kṛṣṇa's appearance. They were also informed that the external potency of Vishnu, Maya, with whom all the conditioned souls are enamored, would also appear by the order of the Supreme Lord just to execute his purpose. After instructing and pacifying all the demigods, as well as Bhumi, with sweet words, Lord Brahma, the father of all Prajapatis, or progenitors of the universal population, departed for his own abode, the highest material planet called Brahma Loka. The leader of the Yadu dynasty, King Śrīla, was ruling over the country known as Mathura, wherein lies the city of Mathura. Interesting. The country was known as Mathura, and within that was the city of Mathura. As well, so he was ruling over Mathura, wherein lies the city of Mathura, as well as the district known as Śrīla, which was named after him. On account of the rule of King Śrīla, Mathura became the capital city of all the kings of the Yadus. Mathura was also made the capital of the kings of the Yadu dynasty because the Yadus were a very pious family, and they knew that Mathura is a place where Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa lives eternally, just as he also lives in Dwarka. Once upon a time, Vasudeva, the son of Śrīla, just after marrying Devaki, was going home on his chariot with his newly wedded wife. The father of Devaki, known as Devaka, had contributed a sufficient dowry because he was very affectionate toward his daughter. He had contributed hundreds of chariots completely decorated with gold equipment. At that time, Kṛṣṇa, the son of Ugrasen, in order to please his sister Devaki, had voluntarily taken the reins of the horses of Vasudeva's chariot and was driving. He did that all to please his sister. He himself became the horse driver just to please his sister. All right. According to the custom of the Vedic civilization, when a girl is married, the brother takes the sister and brother-in-law to their home. Because the newly married girl may feel too much separation from her father's family, the brother goes with her until she reaches her father-in-law's house. The full dowry contributed by Devaka was as follows: 400 elephants fully decorated with golden garlands, 15,000 decorated horses, and 1,800 chariots. He also arranged for 200 beautiful girls to follow his daughter, The Kshatriya system of marriage, still current in India, dictates that when a Kshatriya is married, a few dozen of the bride's young girlfriends, in addition to the bride, go to the house of the king. The followers of the queen are called maidservants, but actually they act as friends of the queen. This practice is prevalent from time immemorial, traceable at least to the time before the advent of Lord Kṛṣṇa 5,000 years ago. So Vasudeva brought home another 200 beautiful girls along with his wife, Devaki. While the bride and bridegroom were passing along on the chariots, there were different kinds of musical instruments playing to indicate the auspicious moment. There were conch shells, bugles, drums, and kettle drums. Combined together, they were vibrating a nice concert. Yeah. The procession was passing very pleasingly, and Kṛṣṇa was driving the chariots, when suddenly there was a miraculous sound vibrated from the sky, which especially announced to Kṛṣṇa, "Kṛṣṇa, you are such a fool. You are driving the chariot of your sister and your brother-in-law, but you do not know that the 8th child of the sister will kill you." Kṛṣṇa was a son of Ugrasen of the Bhoja dynasty. It is said that Kṛṣṇa was the most demoniac of all the Bhoja dynasty kings. Immediately after hearing the prophecy from the sky, he caught hold of Devaki's hair and was just about to kill her with his sword. Vasudeva was astounded at Kṛṣṇa's behavior, and in order to pacify the cruel, shameless brother-in-law, he began to speak as follows, with great reason and evidence. He said, "My dear brother-in-law Kṛṣṇa, you are the most famous king of the Bhoja dynasty, and people know that you are the greatest warrior and a valiant king. How is it that you are so infuriated that you are prepared to kill a woman who is your own sister at this auspicious time of her marriage? Why should you be so much afraid of death? Death is already born along with your birth. From the very day you took your birth, you began to die. Suppose you are 25 years old. That means you have already died 25 years. Every moment, every second, you are dying. Why then should you be so much afraid of death? Final death is inevitable. You may die either today or in 100 years. You cannot avoid death. Why should you be so much afraid? Actually, death means annihilation of the present body. As soon as the present body stops functioning and mixes with the 5 elements of material nature, the living entity within the body accepts another body, according to his present actions and reactions. It is just like when a man walks on the street. He puts forward his foot, and when he is confident that his foot is situated on the ground, he lifts the other foot. In this way, one after another, the bodies change and the soul transmigrates. Just see how the plantworms change from one twig to another so carefully. Similarly, the living entity changes his body as soon as the higher authorities decide on his next body. As long as a living entity is conditioned within this material world, he must take material bodies one after another. His next particular body is offered by the laws of nature, according to the actions and reactions of this life. This body is exactly like one of the bodies which we always see in dreams. During our dream of sleep, we create so many bodies according to mental creation. We have seen gold, and we have also seen a mountain. So in a dream, we can see a golden mountain by combining the 2 ideas. Sometimes in dreams, we see that we have a body which is flying in the sky, and at that time, we completely forget our present body. Similarly, these bodies are changing. When you have one body, you forget the past body. During a dream, we may make contact with so many new kinds of bodies, but when we are awake, we forget them all. And actually, these material bodies are the creations of our mental activities. But at the present moment, we do not recollect our past bodies. The nature of the mind is flickering. Sometimes it accepts something, and immediately it rejects the same thing. Accepting and rejecting is a process of the mind in contact with the 5 objects of sense gratification: form, taste, smell, sound, and touch. In its speculative way, the mind comes in touch with the objects of sense gratification, and when the living entity desires a particular type of body, he gets it. Therefore, the body is an offering by the laws of material nature. The living entity accepts a body and comes out again into the material world to enjoy or suffer according to the construction of the body. Unless we have a particular type of body, we cannot enjoy or suffer according to our mental proclivities inherited from the previous life. The particular type of body is actually offered to us according to our mental condition at the time of death. The luminous planets, like the sun, moon, or stars, reflect themselves in different types of reservoirs, like water, oil, or ghee. The reflection moves according to the movement of the reservoir. The reflection of the moon is on the water, and the moving water makes the moon also appear to be moving. But actually, the moon is not moving. Similarly, by mental concoction, the living entity attains different kinds of bodies, although actually he has no connection with such bodies. But on account of illusion, being enchanted by the influence of Maya, the living entity thinks that he belongs to a particular type of body. That is the way of conditioned life. Suppose a living entity is now a human form of body. Now he is in a human form of body. That living entity thinks that he belongs to the human community or a particular country or particular place. He identifies himself in that way and unnecessarily prepares for another body, which is not required by him. Such desires and mental concoctions are the cause of different types of bodies. The covering influence of material nature is so strong that the living entity is satisfied in whatever body he gets, and he identifies with that body with great pleasure. Therefore, I beg to request you not to be overwhelmed by the dictation of your mind and body. Wow, Vasudeva Maharaj was able to get a lot in there. So then Vasudeva thus requested Kṛṣṇa not to be envious of his newly married sister. One should not be envious of anyone, because envy is the cause of fear both in this world and in the next, when one is before Yamaraj, the Lord of punishment after death. Vasudeva appealed to Kṛṣṇa on behalf of Devaki, stating that she was his younger sister. He also appealed at an auspicious moment, at the time of marriage. A younger sister or brother is supposed to be protected as one's child. So the position is overall so delicate, Vasudeva reasoned, that if you kill her, it will go against your high reputation. In this way, Vasudeva tried to pacify Kṛṣṇa by good instruction as well as by philosophical discrimination. But Kṛṣṇa was not to be pacified because his association was demoniac. Because of his demoniac association, he was a demon, although born in a very high royal family. A demon never cares for any good instruction. He is just like a determined thief. One can give him moral instruction, but it will not be effective. Similarly, those who are demoniac or atheistic by nature can hardly assimilate any good instruction, however authorized it may be. That is the difference between demigods and demons. Those who can accept good instruction and who try to live their lives in that way are called demigods, and those who are unable to take such good instruction are called demons. Failing in his attempt to pacify Kṛṣṇa, Vasudeva wondered how he would protect his wife, Devaki. When there is imminent danger, an intelligent person should try to avoid the dangerous position as far as possible. But if, in spite of endeavoring by all intelligence, one fails to avoid the dangerous position, there is no fault on his part. One should try his best to execute his duties, but if the attempt fails, he is not at fault. Vasudeva thought of his wife as follows: for the present, let me save the life of Devaki. Then later on, if there are children, I shall see how to save them. He further thought, if in the future I get a child who can kill Kṛṣṇa, just as Kṛṣṇa is thinking, then both Devaki and the child will be saved because the law of providence is inconceivable. But now, some way or other, let me save the life of Devaki. There is no certainty how a living entity contacts a certain type of body, just as there is no certainty how a blazing fire comes in contact with a certain type of wood in the forest. When there is a forest fire, it is experienced that the blazing fire sometimes leaps over one tree and catches another by the influence of the wind. Similarly, a living entity may be very careful in the matter of executing his duties, but it is still very difficult for him to know what type of body he's going to get in the next life. Maharaj Bharat was very faithfully executing the duties of self-realization, but by chance, he developed temporary affection for a deer, and in his next life, he had to accept the body of a deer. Vasudeva, after deliberating on how to save his wife, began to speak to Kṛṣṇa with great respect, although Kṛṣṇa was the most sinful man. Sometimes it happens that a most virtuous person like Vasudeva has to flatter a person like Kṛṣṇa, a most vicious person. That is the way of all diplomatic transactions. Although Vasudeva was deeply aggrieved, he smiled outwardly. He addressed the shameless Kṛṣṇa in that way because he was so atrocious. Vasudeva said to Kṛṣṇa, so he's smiling. You can imagine in that kind of situation how calm and collected and just intelligent Vasudeva must have been to be able to, when his newly married wife is just about to get her head chopped off, and he's able to calmly smile and say, "My dear brother-in-law, please consider that you have no danger from your sister. You are awaiting some danger because you have heard a prophetic voice in the sky. But the danger is to come from the sons of your sister, who are not present now. And who knows, there may or may not be sons in the future. Considering all this, you are safe for the present. Nor is there cause of fear from your sister. If there are any sons born of her, I promise that I shall present all of them to you for necessary action." Kṛṣṇa knew the value of Vasudeva's word of honor, and he was convinced by his argument. For the time being, he desisted from the heinous killing of his sister. Thus, Vasudeva was pleased and praised the decision of Kṛṣṇa. In this way, he returned to his home. Each year thereafter, in due course of time, Devaki gave birth to a child. Thus, she gave birth to 8 male children, as well as 1 daughter. When the first son was born, Vasudeva kept his word of honor and immediately brought the child before Kṛṣṇa. It is said that Vasudeva was very much elevated and famous for his word of honor, and he wanted to maintain this fame. Although it was very painful for Vasudeva to hand over the newly born child, even though it was very painful for Vasudeva to hand over the newly born child, Kṛṣṇa was very glad to receive him. But he became a little compassionate with the behavior of Vasudeva. This event is very exemplary. For a great soul like Vasudeva, there is nothing considered to be painful in the course of discharging one's duty. A learned person like Vasudeva carries out his duties without hesitation. On the other hand, a demon like Kṛṣṇa never hesitates in committing any abominable action. It is said, therefore, that a saintly person can tolerate all kinds of miserable conditions of life. A learned man can discharge his duties without awaiting favorable circumstances. A heinous person, like Kṛṣṇa, can act in any sinful way. And a devotee can sacrifice everything to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kṛṣṇa became satisfied by the action of Vasudeva. He was surprised to see Vasudeva keeping his promise, and being compassionate upon him and pleased, he began to speak as follows. So Kṛṣṇa said, "My dear Vasudeva, you need not present this child to me. I am not in danger from this child. I have heard that the 8th child born of you and Devaki will kill me. Why should I accept this child unnecessarily? You can take him back." When Vasudeva was returning home with his firstborn child, although he was pleased by the behavior of Kṛṣṇa, he could not believe him. He could not believe in him because he knew that Kṛṣṇa was uncontrolled. An atheistic person cannot be firm in his word of honor. One who cannot control the senses cannot be steady in his determination. The great politician Chanakya Pandit said, "Never put your trust in a diplomat or a woman. Those who are addicted to unrestricted sense gratification can never be truthful, nor can they be trusted with any faith." At that time, the great sage Narad came to Kṛṣṇa. He was informed of Kṛṣṇa's becoming compassionate to Vasudeva and returning his firstborn child. Narad was very eager to accelerate the descent of Lord Kṛṣṇa as soon as possible. He therefore informed Kṛṣṇa that in Vrindavan, personalities like Nanda Maharaj and all the other cowherd men and their wives, and on the other side, Vasudeva, his father Shurasen, and all his relatives born in the family of Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, along with all their friends and well-wishers, were actually demigods. Yeah, so Narad told this to Kṛṣṇa. They're all actually demigods. Narad warned Kṛṣṇa to be careful of them, since Kṛṣṇa and his friends and advisors were all demons. Demons are always afraid of demigods. After being thus informed by Narad about the appearance of the demigods in the different families, Kṛṣṇa at once became very much alarmed. He understood that since the demigods had already appeared, Lord Vishnu must be coming soon. He at once arrested both his brother-in-law Vasudeva and Devaki and put them behind prison bars. Within the prison, shackled in iron chains, Vasudeva and Devaki gave birth to a male child year after year, and Kṛṣṇa, thinking each of the babies to be the incarnation of Vishnu, killed them one after another. He was particularly afraid of the eighth child, but after the visit of Narad, he came to the conclusion that any child might be Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, it was better to kill all the babies who took birth from Devaki and Vasudeva. This action of Kṛṣṇa is not very difficult to understand. In the history of the world, there are many instances in the history of the world, I think that's a mistake there, of persons in the royal order who have killed their father, brother, or whole family and friends for the satisfaction of their ambitions. There is nothing astonishing about this, for members of the demoniac, greedy royal order can kill anyone for their nefarious ambitions. Kṛṣṇa was made aware of his previous birth by the grace of Narad. He learned that in his previous birth, he had been a demon of the name Kalanemi, and that he had been killed by Vishnu. Having now taken his birth in the Bhoja family, he decided to become the deadly enemy of the Yadu dynasty. Kṛṣṇa was going to take birth in that family, and Kṛṣṇa was very much afraid that he would be killed by Kṛṣṇa, just as he had been killed in his last birth. He first of all imprisoned his father Ugrasen, because he was the chief king among the Yadu, Bhoja, and Andaka dynasties, and he also occupied the kingdom of Shurasen, Vasudeva's father. He declared himself the king of all such places. Thus ends the Bhaktivedānta purport of the first chapter of Kṛṣṇa, the advent of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And do I have this right? Shurasen, he is the father of Vasudeva Maharaj, but also of Parjanya, who is the father of Nanda Baba, right? I think that's how it is, but I don't know. If I got that wrong, somebody can correct me. Like Shurasen had a child from his Kshatriya wife, that was Vasudeva Maharaj, and then he had a child from his from a Vaishya wife, and that became Parjanya. And that, yeah. And then they had, I think, 5 brothers, and I forgot how many sisters. 4 sisters or something like that. I can't remember. Anyhow, now chapter 2 of Kṛṣṇa. Let me just check everything's running smoothly. Okay, it looks like it. Okay, chapter 2 of Kṛṣṇa. I'm not going to read this full chapter because it's quite long, and I need to go for a program. But I think I'll skip the prayers by the demigods, maybe, or I'll read a little bit of their prayers, and then, yeah. All right. Prayers by the demigods for Lord Kṛṣṇa in the womb. King Kṛṣṇa not only occupied the kingdoms of the Yadu, Bhoja, and Andaka dynasties, and the kingdom of Shurasen, but he also made alliances with all the other demoniac kings as follows: the demon Pralamba, demon Baka, demon Chanura, demon Trinavarta, demon Aghasura, demon Mushtika, demon Arishta, demon Dvavida, demon Putana, demon Keshi, and demon Dhenuka. And we hear about all these demons, how they were all killed by Kṛṣṇa and Baladev. At that time, Jarasandha was the king of Magadha province, known at present as Bihar state. Thus, by his diplomatic policy...
Yes, it is, because if you...
Shrivasen had a child from his Kshatriya wife, that was Vasudeva Maharaj, and then he had a child from his from a Vaishya wife, and that became Parjanya. And that, yeah. And then they had, I think, 5 brothers, and I forgot how many sisters. 4 sisters or something like that? I can't remember. Anyhow. When you open up your mic, if you can mute the TV, because we hear a whole replay of like what I just spoke.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. No, I was just remembering that actually in the first chapter of Panchadhyayi, those 5 chapters, at one point, Shukadev Goswami is upset about the treatment by Kṛṣṇa disappearing from the rasa dance for a moment. But what he does is he hides, but he calls them the name of his Kshatriya line, because Kshatriyas are cruel. So he calls him by that name, the descendant of Surasena. Oh, do you remember? Yes. But it's indicative of his being mad at Kṛṣṇa, Sukadeva Goswami.
Yeah, the word is Shodi, right? Yeah, Shodi.
Yeah, Shodi. So yeah, they're related to that way, Surasena being the father of Parajanya, and then Vasudeva too.
Yes, the Kshatriya life, yeah. So does that mean Vasudeva Maharaj is actually the uncle of Nanda Maharaj, right?
Right, because, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Okay, so where were we? Okay, at that time, Jarasandha was the king of Magadha province, known as the present Bihar state. Thus, by his diplomatic policy, Kṛṣṇa consolidated the most powerful kingdom of his time under the protection of Jarasandha. He made further alliances with such kings as Banasura and Bhaumasura until he was the strongest. Then he began to behave most inimically toward the Yadu dynasty into which Kṛṣṇa was to take his birth. Being harassed by Kṛṣṇa, the kings of the Yadu, Bhoja, and Andaka dynasties took shelter in different states, such as the state of the Kurus, the state of the Panchalas, and the states known as Kekaya, Shalva, Vidarbha, Nishada, Videha, and Koshala. Kṛṣṇa broke the solidarity of the Yadu kingdom, as well as the Bhoja and Andaka. He made his position the most solid within the vast tract of land known at that time as Bharatvarsh. When Kṛṣṇa was killing the 6 babies of Devaki and Vasudeva one after another, many friends and relatives of Kṛṣṇa approached him and requested him to discontinue these heinous activities. But all of them became worshippers of Kṛṣṇa. I think they were forced into it, right? When Devaki became pregnant for the 7th time, a plenary expansion of Kṛṣṇa, known as Ananta, appeared within her womb. Devaki was overwhelmed with both the jubilation and lamentation. She was joyful, for she could understand that Lord Vishnu had taken shelter within her womb. But at the same time, she was sorry that as soon as her child would come out, Kṛṣṇa would kill him. At that time, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, being compassionate upon the Yadus who were fearful due to the atrocities committed by Kṛṣṇa, ordered the appearance of Yogamaya, his internal potency. Kṛṣṇa is the Lord of the universe, but he is especially the Lord of the Yadu dynasty. Yogamaya is the principal potency of the personality of Godhead. In the Vedas, it is stated that the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has multi-potencies. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. Srila Prabhupada quotes that all the time. He said, and all the different potencies are acting externally and internally. And Yogamaya is the chief of all potencies. The Lord ordered the appearance of Yogamaya in the land of Vrajabhumi in Vrindavan, which is always decorated and full with beautiful cows. In Vrindavan, Rohini, one of the wives of Vasudeva, was residing at the house of King Nanda and Queen Yashoda. Not only Rohini, but many others in the Yadu dynasty were scattered all over the country due to the fear of the atrocities of Kṛṣṇa. Some of them were even living in the caves of the mountains. The Lord thus informed Yogamaya. The Lord said to Yogamaya, "Under the imprisonment of Kṛṣṇa are Devaki and Vasudeva, and at the present moment, my plenary expansion Shesh is within the womb of Devaki. You can arrange the transfer of Shesh from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. After this arrangement, I am personally going to appear in the womb of Devaki with my full potencies. Then I shall appear as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. And you shall appear as the daughter of Nanda and Yashoda in Vrindavan. Since you will appear as my contemporary sister, and since you will quickly satisfy desires for sense gratification, people within the world will worship you with all kinds of valuable presentations, incense, candles, flowers, and offerings of sacrifice. People who are after materialistic perfection will worship you under the different forms of your expansions, which will be named Durga, Bhadrakali, Vijaya, Vaishnavi, Kumuda, Chandika, Kṛṣṇa, Madhavi, Kanyaka, Maya, Narayani, Ishani, Sharada, and Ambika." So that's the end of what Krishna said to Yogamaya. Then Kṛṣṇa and Yogamaya appeared as brother and sister, the supreme powerful and the supreme power. Although there is no clear distinction between the powerful and the power, power is always subordinate to the powerful. Yeah, power is always subordinate to the powerful, but there's no powerful without power. So they're completely interdependent. Those who are materialistic are worshippers of the power, but those who are transcendentalists, they are worshippers of the powerful. Kṛṣṇa is the supreme powerful, and Durga is the supreme power within the material world. Actually, people in the Vedic culture worship both the powerful and the power. There are many hundreds and thousands of temples of Vishnu and Devi, and sometimes they are worshipped simultaneously. The worshipper of the power, of Durga, or the external energy of Kṛṣṇa, may achieve all kinds of material success very easily. But anyone who wants to be elevated transcendentally must engage in worshipping the powerful in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. The Lord also declared to Yogamaya, he said, "My plenary expansion, Ananta Shesh, is within the womb of Devaki. On account of being forcibly attracted to the womb of Rohini, he will be known as Sankarshan and will be the source of all spiritual power, or bala, by which one can attain the highest bliss of life, which is called Ramana. Therefore, the plenary portion Ananta will be known after his appearance either as Sankarshan or as Balaram." Oh, that's why it said Raman. So he's Bala because because he is the source of all spiritual power, and he is a Ram because because people can attain the highest bliss of life from him, right? By which one can attain the highest bliss of life. Yes. So Bala Ram. All right. Therefore, the plenary portion Ananta will be known after his appearance either as Sankarshan or as Balaram. In the Upanishads, it is stated, Nayamatma, and that was the end of Krishna's speaking. Now, in the Upanishads, it is stated, Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhya. The purport is that one cannot attain the supreme platform of self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balaram. Bala does not mean physical strength. No one can attain spiritual perfection by physical strength. One must have the spiritual strength, which is infused by Balaram or Sankarshan. Ananta or Shesh is the source of the power which sustains all the planets in their different positions. Materially, this sustaining power is known as the law of gravitation, but actually, it is a display of the potency of Sankarshan, Balaram. It is the potency of Sankarshan. Balaram, or Sankarshan, is the source of spiritual power, or the original spiritual master. He's Akhanda Guru Tattva. Therefore, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is also the incarnation of Balaram, is the original spiritual master, Akhanda Guru Tattva. And the spiritual master is the representative of Balaram, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who supplies spiritual strength. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is confirmed that the spiritual master is the manifestation of the mercy of Kṛṣṇa. Guru Krishna, no, what is it? Guru, what is it? Shastra Pramani. Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Koren Bhaktagane. Yeah. Guru Rupe Krishna Kripa Koren Bhaktagane. In the form of Guru that Krishna gives his mercy to living entities, or to the devotees. Thus ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya circumambulated the Lord and then appeared within this material world according to his order. When Yogamaya, the supreme power of the supremely powerful personality of Godhead, transferred Lord Shesh from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini, both Devaki and Rohini were under Yogamaya's spell, which is called Yoga Nidra, mystic slumber. When this was done, people thought that Devaki's 7th pregnancy had been a miscarriage. Thus, although Balaram appeared as the son of Devaki, he was transferred to the womb of Rohini to appear as her son. After this arrangement, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, who is always ready to protect his unalloyed devotees, entered within the mind of Vasudeva as the Lord of the whole creation, with full inconceivable potencies. It is understood in this connection that Lord Kṛṣṇa first of all situated himself in the unalloyed heart of Vasudeva, and was then transferred to the heart of Devaki. He was not put into the womb of Devaki by seminal discharge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his inconceivable potency, can appear in any way. It is not necessary for him to appear in the ordinary way by seminal injection within the womb of a woman. When Vasudeva was sustaining the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, he appeared just like the glowing sun, whose shining rays are always unbearable and scorching to the common man. The form of the Lord situated in the pure unalloyed heart of Vasudeva is not different from the original form of Kṛṣṇa. The appearance of the form of Kṛṣṇa anywhere, and specifically within the heart, is called Dham. So the Dham refers not only to Kṛṣṇa's form, but also to his name, his qualities, and his paraphernalia. Everything becomes manifest simultaneously. Thus, the eternal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with full potencies was transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki, exactly as the setting sun's rays are transferred to the full moon rising in the east. Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus entered the body of Devaki from the body of Vasudeva without being subject to any of the conditions of an ordinary living entity. Since Kṛṣṇa was there, it is to be understood that all his plenary expansions, such as Narayan, and incarnations like Lord Nrsimha and Varaha, were with him, and they also were not subject to the conditions of material existence. In this way, Devaki became the residence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is one without a second and the cause of all creation. Devaki became the residence of the Absolute Truth, but because she was confined within the house of Kṛṣṇa, she looked just like suppressed fire, or like misused education. When a fire is kept in a jug, the illuminating rays of the fire cannot be very much appreciated. Similarly, misused knowledge, which does not benefit the people in general, is not very much appreciated. So Devaki was kept within the prison walls of Kṛṣṇa's palace, and no one could see her transcendental beauty, which resulted from her conceiving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kṛṣṇa, however, he saw the transcendental beauty of his sister Devaki, and he at once concluded that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had taken shelter in her womb. She had never before looked so wonderfully beautiful. So Kṛṣṇa says, how terrible is that she looks so wonderfully beautiful? Oh no. He could distinctly understand that there is something wonderful within the womb of Devaki. In this way, Kṛṣṇa became perturbed because he was sure that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who would kill him in the future, had now come. Kṛṣṇa began to think, What is to be done with Devaki? Surely she has Vishnu or Kṛṣṇa within her womb, so it is certain that Kṛṣṇa has come to execute the mission of the demigods. And even if I immediately kill Devaki, his mission cannot be frustrated. Kṛṣṇa knew very well that no one can frustrate the purpose of Vishnu. Any intelligent man can understand that the laws of God cannot be violated. His purpose will be served in spite of all impediments offered by the demons. Kṛṣṇa thought, if I kill Devaki at the present moment, Vishnu will enforce his supreme will even more vehemently. To kill Devaki just now would be a most abominable act. No one desires to kill his reputation, even in an awkward situation. If I kill Devaki now, my reputation will be spoilt. Devaki is a woman, and she is under my shelter. She is pregnant, and if I kill her, immediately my reputation, the results of my pious activities, and my duration of life will all be finished. He further deliberated. A person who is too cruel is as good as dead, even in this lifetime. No one likes a cruel person during his lifetime, and after his death, people curse him. On account of his self-identification with the body, he must be degraded and pushed into the darkest region of hell. Kṛṣṇa thus meditated on all the pros and cons of killing Devaki at that time. Kṛṣṇa finally decided not to kill Devaki right away, but to wait for the inevitable future. But his mind became absorbed in animosity against the personality of Godhead. He patiently waited for the delivery of the child, expecting to kill him, as he had done previously with the other babies of Devaki. Thus being merged in an ocean of animosity against the personality of Godhead, he began to think of Kṛṣṇa or Vishnu while sitting, while sleeping, while walking, while eating, while working, in all the situations of his life. His mind became so much absorbed with the thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that indirectly he could see only Kṛṣṇa or Vishnu around him. Unfortunately, although his mind was so absorbed in the thoughts of Vishnu, he is not recognized as a devotee because he was thinking of Kṛṣṇa as an enemy. The state of mind of a great devotee is also to be always absorbed in Kṛṣṇa. But the state of the mind of a great devotee is also to be always absorbed in Kṛṣṇa. But a devotee thinks of him favorably, not unfavorably. So the devotee and Kṛṣṇa has that in common, that they're completely absorbed in Kṛṣṇa, but it's a big difference. To think of Kṛṣṇa favorably is Kṛṣṇa consciousness, but to think of Kṛṣṇa unfavorably is not Kṛṣṇa consciousness. At this time, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, accompanied by great sages like Narad and followed by many other demigods, they invisibly appeared in the house of Kṛṣṇa. They began to pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in select verses, which are very pleasing to the devotees and which award fulfillment of their desires. The first words they spoke acclaims that the Lord is true to his vow. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Kṛṣṇa descends to this material world just to protect the pious and destroy the impious. That is his vow. The demigods could understand that the Lord has taken his residence within the womb of Devaki to fulfill his vow, and they were very glad that the Lord was appearing in order to fulfill his mission. Okay, I'm just going to read one paragraph of this, and then I'm going to skip to the end. So, then the demigods addressed the Lord as Satyam Param, or the Supreme Absolute Truth. Everyone is searching after the truth. That is the philosophical way of life. The demigods give information that the Supreme Absolute Truth is Kṛṣṇa. One who becomes fully Kṛṣṇa conscious can attain the Absolute Truth. Kṛṣṇa is the Absolute Truth because, unlike relative truth, he is truth in all the three phases of eternal time. Time is divided into past, present, and future. Kṛṣṇa is truth always, past, present, and future. In the material world, everything is being controlled by supreme time in the course of past, present, and future. But before the creation, Kṛṣṇa was existing. And when there's creation, everything is resting in Kṛṣṇa. And when this creation is finished, Kṛṣṇa will remain. Therefore, he is the absolute truth in all circumstances. If there's any opulence within this material world, the cause of the opulence is Kṛṣṇa. If there's any reputation, if there's any reputation within this world, material world, the cause of the reputation is Kṛṣṇa. If there's any strength within this material world, the cause of such strength is Kṛṣṇa. If there's any wisdom and education within this material world, the cause of such wisdom and education is Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, Kṛṣṇa is the source of all relative truths. Okay, so now let's skip just so that we can read the third chapter as well. Let's see. Okay. Should we read from this point on? No. I'm just going to go to the very end of their prayers. Okay, so I'm just skipping to the end of their prayers. They said, "Our dear Lord, you are appearing as the best of the Yadu dynasty, and we are offering our respectful, humble obeisances unto your lotus feet. Before this appearance, you also appeared as the fish incarnation, as the horse incarnation, as the tortoise incarnation, as the half-man, half-lion incarnation, as the boar incarnation, as the swan incarnation, as King Ramachandra, as Parshuram, and as many other incarnations. You appeared just to protect the devotees, and we request you in your present appearance as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself to give us similar protection all over the three worlds and remove all obstacles for the peaceful execution of our lives. Dear Mother Devaki, within your womb is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing along with all his plenary extensions. He is the original personality of Godhead, appearing for our welfare. Therefore, you should not be afraid of your brother, the king of Bhoja. Your son, Lord Kṛṣṇa, who is the original personality of Godhead, will appear for the protection of the pious Yadu dynasty. The Lord is appearing not alone, but accompanied by his immediate plenary portion, Baladev. Devaki was very much afraid of her brother Kṛṣṇa because he had already killed so many of her children. So she was very anxious about Kṛṣṇa. In the Vishnu Purana, it is stated that in order to pacify Devaki, all the demigods, along with their wives, used to visit her to encourage her not to be afraid that her son would be killed by Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa, who was within her womb, was to appear not only to diminish the burden of the world, but specifically to protect the interests of the Yadu dynasty, and certainly to protect Devaki and Vasudeva. It is understood that Kṛṣṇa had been transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki, and from there to her womb. Thus, all the demigods worship Devaki, the mother of Kṛṣṇa. After thus worshipping the transcendental form of the Lord, all the demigods, with Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva placed in front, departed for their heavenly abodes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedānta purport of the second chapter of Kṛṣṇa, prayers by the demigods for Lord Kṛṣṇa in the womb. Okay, now we come to the third chapter, the birth of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Just checking everything's running okay. Looks like it. All right, chapter 3, the birth of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And then after this chapter, we'll finish our program for today. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his appearance, birth, and activities are all transcendental, and that one who understands them factually becomes immediately eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord's appearance or birth is not like that of an ordinary man who is forced to accept a material body according to his past deeds. The Lord's appearance is explained in the second chapter. He appears out of his own sweet pleasure. When the time was mature for the appearance of the Lord, the constellations became very auspicious. The astrological influence of the star known as Rohini was predominant. This star is considered to be very auspicious and is under the direct supervision of Brahma. According to the astrological conclusion, besides the proper situation of the stars, there are auspicious and inauspicious moments due to the different situations of the different planetary systems. At the time of Krishna's birth, the planetary systems were automatically adjusted so that everything became auspicious. At that time, in all directions, east, west, south, north, everywhere, there was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. There were auspicious stars visible in the sky, and on the surface of the earth, in all towns and villages and pasturing grounds, and within the minds of everyone, there were signs of good fortune. The rivers were flowing full of waters, and lakes were beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. All the birds within the forest began to sing with sweet voices, and the peacocks began to dance along with their consorts. The wind blew very pleasantly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, and the sensation of bodily touch was very pleasing. At home, the brahmanas, who were accustomed to offering sacrifices in the fire, found their homes very pleasant for offerings. Due to disturbances created by the demoniac kings, the sacrificial fire had been almost stopped in the houses of the Brahmins. But now they could find the opportunity to start fire peacefully. Being forbidden to other sacrifices, the Brahmins had been very much distressed in mind, intelligence, and activities. But just on the point of Krishna's appearance, automatically their minds became full of joy because they could hear transcendental vibrations in the sky proclaiming the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The denizens of the Gandharva and Kinnara planets began to sing, and the denizens of Siddhaloka and the planets of the Charanas, they began to offer prayers in the service of the Personality of Godhead. And the heavenly planets, the angels and their wives, along with the Vidyadharas and their wives, they all began to dance. The great sages and the demigods, being pleased, began to shower flowers. At the seashore, there was the sound of mild waves, and above the sea, there were clouds in the sky which began to thunder very pleasingly. When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing within the heart of every living entity, that Vishnu appeared in the darkness of night as the Supreme Personality of Godhead before Devaki, who appeared as one of the demigoddesses. The appearance of Lord Vishnu at that time could be compared to the rising of the full moon over the eastern horizon. The objection may be raised that since Lord Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the waning moon, there could be no rising of the full moon. In answer to this, it may be said that Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty which is in the hierarchy of the moon. Therefore, although the moon was incomplete on that night, because of the Lord's appearance in the dynasty wherein the moon is himself the original person, the moon was in an overjoyous condition. So, by the grace of Krishna, he could appear just like a full moon. In an astronomical treatise by the name Kṛṣṇa, the constellations at the time of the appearance of Lord Krishna are very nicely described. It is confirmed that the child born at that auspicious moment was the Supreme Brahman, or the Absolute Truth. Vasudeva saw that wonderful child born as a baby with 4 hands, holding a conch shell, club, disc, and lotus flower, decorated with the mark of Srivatsa, wearing the jeweled necklace of Kaustuba stone, dressed in yellow silk, appearing dazzling like a bright blackish cloud, wearing a helmet bedecked with the Vaidurya stone, valuable bracelets, earrings, and similar other ornaments all over his body, and beautified by an abundance of hair on his head. Due to the extraordinary features of the child, Vasudeva was struck with wonder. How could a newly born child be so decorated? He could therefore understand that Lord Krishna had now appeared, and he became overpowered by the occasion. Vasudeva very humbly wondered that although he was an ordinary living entity conditioned by material nature and was externally imprisoned by Kṛṣṇa, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, Vishnu, or Krishna, had appeared as a child in his home, exactly in his original position. No earthly child is born with 4 hands, decorated with ornaments and nice clothing, fully equipped with all the signs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Over and over again, Vasudeva glanced at his child, and he considered how to celebrate this auspicious moment. Generally, when a male child is born, he thought, people observe the occasion with jubilant celebrations. And in my home, although I'm imprisoned, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken birth. How many millions and millions of times should I be prepared to observe this auspicious ceremony? When Vasudeva, who is also called Anakadundubi, when he was looking at his newborn baby, he was so happy that he wanted to give many thousands of cows in charity to the Brahmanas. According to the Vedic system, whenever there is an auspicious ceremony in the Kshatriya king's palace, out of joy, the king gives many things in charity. Cows decorated with golden ornaments are delivered to the Brahmanas and they're delivered to the Brahmins and sages. Vasudeva wanted to perform a charitable ceremony to celebrate Krishna's appearance. But because he was shackled within the walls of Kṛṣṇa's prison, this was not possible. Instead, within his mind, he gave thousands of cows to the Brahmanas. When Vasudeva was convinced that the newborn child was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he bowed down with folded hands and began to offer him prayers. At that time, Vasudeva was in the transcendental position, and he became completely free from all fear of Kṛṣṇa. The newborn baby was also flashing his effulgence within the room in which he appeared. Vasudeva then began to offer his prayers. He prayed, "My dear Lord, I can understand who you are. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supersoul of all living entities, and the Absolute Truth. You have appeared in your own eternal form, which is directly perceived by us. I understand that because I am afraid of Kṛṣṇa, you have appeared just to deliver me from that fear. You do not belong to this material world. You are the same person who brings about the cosmic manifestation simply by glancing over material nature." Quite different from when Krishna took birth in Gokul. Nanda Maharaj never made such prayers like that. You can see the difference between the two Leelas. One may argue that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates the whole cosmic manifestation simply by his glance, cannot come from within the womb of Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. To eradicate this argument, Vasudeva said, "My dear Lord, it is not a very wonderful thing that you have appeared within the womb of Devaki, because the creation was also made in that way. You were lying in the causal ocean as Mahavishnu, and by your breathing process, innumerable universes came into existence. Then you entered into each of the universes as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Then again, you expanded yourself as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu and entered into the hearts of all living entities and even into the atoms. Therefore, your entrance into the womb of Devaki is understandable in the same way. You appear to have entered, but you are simultaneously all-pervading. We can understand your entrance and non-entrance from material examples. The total material energy remains intact even after being divided into 16 elements. The material body is nothing but the combination of the 5 gross elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Whenever there is a material body, it appears that such elements are newly created, but actually the elements are always existing outside of the body. Similarly, although you have appeared as a child in the womb of Devaki, you are also existing outside. You are always in your abode, but still, you can simultaneously expand yourself into millions of forms. One has to understand your appearance with great intelligence, because the material energy is also emanating from you. You are the original source of the material energy, just as the sun is a source of the sunshine. The sunshine cannot cover the sun globe, nor can the material energy, being an emanation from you, cover you. You appear to be in the 3 modes of material energy, but actually, the 3 modes of material energy cannot cover you. This is understood by the highly intellectual philosophers. In other words, although you appear to be within the material energy, you are never covered by it. We hear from the Vedic version that the Supreme Brahman exhibits his effulgence, and therefore everything becomes illuminated. We can understand from the Brahma Samhita that, now it's Śrīla Prabhupada. Yeah, so this is Śrīla Prabhupada now, not Vasudeva Maharaj. We hear from the Vedic version that the Supreme Brahman exhibits his effulgence, and therefore everything becomes illuminated. We can understand from the Brahma Samhita that the Brahma Jyotir, or the Brahman effulgence, emanates from the body of the Supreme Lord. That emanates from the body of the Supreme Lord. And from the Brahman effulgence, all creation takes place. It is also stated in the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is a support of the Brahman effulgence. Therefore, originally, he is the root. He is the root cause of everything. But persons who are less intelligent think that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes within this material world, he accepts the material qualities. Such conclusions are not very mature, but are made by the less intelligent. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is directly and indirectly existing everywhere. He is outside this material creation, and he is also within it. He is within this material creation, not only as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, he is also within the atom. The existence of the atom is due to his presence. Nothing can be separated from his existence. In the Vedic injunctions, we find that the Supreme Soul, or the root cause of everything, has to be searched out because nothing exists independently of the Supreme Soul. Therefore, the material manifestation is also a transformation of his potency. Both inert matter and the living force, the soul, are emanations from him. Only the foolish conclude that when the Supreme Lord appears, he accepts the conditions of matter. Even if he appears to have accepted a material body, he is still not subjected to any material condition. Kṛṣṇa has therefore appeared and defeated all imperfect conclusions about the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My Lord, your appearance, existence, and disappearance are beyond the influence of the material qualities. Because your Lordship is the Supreme Brahman and the controller of everything, there is nothing inconceivable or contradictory in you. As you have said, material nature works under your superintendence, just like a government officer working under the orders of the chief executive. The influence of subordinate activities cannot affect you. Since you are the Supreme Brahman, everything is existing within you. And since all the activities of material nature are controlled by your Lordship, none of these activities affect you. You are called Shuklam. Shuklam, or whiteness, is the symbolic representation of the absolute truth because it is unaffected by the material qualities. Lord Brahma is called Rakta, or red, because Brahma represents the quality of passion for creation. Darkness is entrusted to Lord Shiva because he annihilates the cosmos. The creation, annihilation, and maintenance of this cosmic manifestation are conducted by your potencies, yet you are always unaffected by those qualities. As confirmed in the Vedas, Harir hi nirguna shakshat, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always free from all material qualities. It is also said that the qualities of passion and ignorance are non-existent in the person of the Supreme Lord. My Lord, you are the Supreme Controller, the Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Great, maintaining the order of this cosmic manifestation. Yet in spite of your being the Supreme Controller, you have so kindly appeared in my home. The purpose of your appearance is to kill the followers of the demoniac rulers of the world, who are in the dress of royal princes, but are actually demons. I am sure that you will kill all of them and their followers and soldiers. I understand that you have appeared in order to kill the uncivilized Kṛṣṇa and his followers. But knowing that you are to appear in order to kill him and his followers, he has already killed so many of your predecessors, your elder brothers. Now he is simply awaiting the news of your birth. As soon as he hears about it, he will immediately appear with all kinds of weapons to kill you. After this prayer of Vasudeva, Devaki, the mother of Kṛṣṇa, offered her prayers. She was very frightened because of her brother's atrocities. Devaki said, "My dear Lord, your eternal forms like Narayan, Lord Ram, Hayashirsha, Varaha, Nrsimha, Vaman, Baladev, and millions of other similar incarnations emanating from Lord Vishnu are described in the Vedic literature as original. You are original because all your forms as incarnations are outside this material creation. Your form was existing before this cosmic manifestation. Your form was existing before this cosmic manifestation was created. Your forms are eternal and all-pervading. They are also self-effulgent, changeless, and uncontaminated by the material qualities. Such eternal forms are ever cognizant and full of bliss. They are situated in transcendental goodness and are always engaged in different pastimes. You are not limited to a particular form only. All such transcendental eternal forms are self-sufficient. I can understand that you are the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Maybe let's I'm just skipping to the end of her prayers. Yeah, because actually it'd be nice to read a little bit of the next chapter. So therefore, my Lord, I request you to save me from the cruel hands of Kṛṣṇa, the son of Ugrasen. I am praying to your lordship to please rescue me from this fearful condition, because you are always ready to give protection to your servitors. The Lord has confirmed this statement in the Bhagavad Gita by assuring Arjuna, you may declare to the worlds that my devotees shall never be vanquished. So while thus praying to the Lord for rescue, Mother Devaki nonetheless expressed her motherly affection. She said, I understand that this transcendental form is generally perceived in meditation by the great sages, but I'm still afraid, because as soon as Kṛṣṇa understands that you have appeared, he might harm you. So I request that for the time being, you become invisible to our material eyes. In other words, she requested the Lord to assume the form of an ordinary child. She said, my only cause of fear for my brother Kṛṣṇa is due to your appearance. My Lord Madhusudan, I wish that Kṛṣṇa may not learn that you are already born. Therefore, I request you to conceal this four-armed form of your lordship, which holds the four symbols of Vishnu, namely the conch shell, the disc, the club, and the lotus flower. My dear Lord, at the end of the annihilation of the cosmic manifestation, you put the whole universe within your abdomen. Still, by your unalloyed mercy, you have appeared in my womb. I am surprised that you imitate the activities of ordinary human beings just to please your devotee. On hearing the prayers of Devaki, the Lord replied, my dear mother, in the millennium of Swayambhuva Manu, my father Vasudeva was living as one of the Prajapatis. His name at that time was Sutapa, and you were his wife named Kṛṣṇa. At that time, when Lord Brahma was desiring to increase the population, he requested you to generate offspring. You controlled your senses and performed severe austerities. By practicing the breathing exercise of the yoga system, both you and your husband could tolerate all the influences of material laws, the rainy season, the onslaught of the winds, the scorching heat of the sunshine. You also executed all religious principles. In this way, you were able to cleanse your heart and control the influences of the material laws. In executing your austerity, you used to eat only the leaves of the trees which fell on the ground. Then, with a steady mind and controlled sex drive, you worshipped me, desiring some wonderful benediction from me. Both of you practiced severe austerities for 12,000 years by the calculation of the demigods. During that time, your mind was always absorbed in me. When you were executing devotional service and always thinking of me within your heart, I was very much pleased with you. O sinless mother, your heart is therefore always pure. At that time, I also appeared before you in this form, just to fulfill your desire. And I asked you to ask for whatever you desired. At that time, you wished to have me born as your son. Although you saw me personally, instead of asking for your complete liberation from material bondage under the influence of my energy, you asked me to become your son. Now this is Śrīla Prabhupada. He says, in other words, to appear in the material worlds, the Lord selected his mother and father, namely Kṛṣṇa and Sutapa. Wherever the Lord comes as a human being, he must have a mother and father. So he selected Kṛṣṇa and Sutapa to be his mother and father perpetually. And on account of this, neither Kṛṣṇa nor Sutapa could ask the Lord for liberation. Liberation is not so important as the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Lord could have also awarded Kṛṣṇa and Sutapa immediate liberation, but he preferred to keep them within this material world for his different appearances, as will be explained in the following verses. On receiving the benediction from the Lord to become his father and mother, Sutapa and Prishni retired from the activities of austerity, and they lived as husband and wife in order to beget a child who is the Supreme Lord himself. In due course of time, Prishni became pregnant and gave birth to the child. The Lord spoke to Devaki and Vasudeva. The Lord said, "At that time, my name was Prishni Garbha. In the next millennium, you took birth as Aditi and Kashyapa, and I became your child of the name Upendra. At that time, my form was just like a dwarf, and for this reason, I was known as Vamandev. I gave you the benediction that I would take birth as your son 3 times. The first time I was known as Prishni Garbha, born of Prishni and Sutapa. In the next birth, I was Upendra, born of Aditi and Kashyapa. And now for the 3rd time, I am born as Krishna from you, Devaki and Vasudeva. I have appeared in this Vishnu form just to convince you that I am the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, again taken birth. I could have appeared as just like an ordinary child, but in that way, you would have not believed that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had taken birth in your womb. My dear father and mother, you have therefore raised me many times as your child with great affection and love, and I therefore very much I am therefore very much pleased and obliged to you." 1 second. Shamli is rolling over. All right. All right. So I'm very much pleased and obliged to you. And I assure you that this time you shall go back home, back to Godhead, on account of your perfection in your mission. I know that you are very concerned about me and afraid of Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, I order you to take me immediately to Gokul and exchange me for the daughter who has just been born to Yashoda. Having spoken thus to his father and mother, the Lord turned himself into an ordinary child in their presence and remained silent. Being ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva prepared to take his son from the delivery room, and exactly at that time, a daughter was born to Nanda and Yashoda. She was Yogamaya, the internal potency of the Lord. By the influence of this internal potency, Yogamaya, all the residents of Kṛṣṇa's palace, especially the doorkeepers, they were overwhelmed with deep sleep, and all the palace doors opened. Although they were barred and shackled with iron chain, all the doors, all the shackles, everything opened. Although they were barred and shackled with iron chains. The night was very dark, but as soon as Vasudeva took Kṛṣṇa on his lap and went out, he could see everything, just as in the sunlight. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that Kṛṣṇa is like the sunlight, and that wherever there's Kṛṣṇa, the illusory energy, which is compared to darkness, cannot remain. Kṛṣṇa Surya Sama, Maya Hoy Andakar. How does it? Yeah. Jaha Kṛṣṇa, Taha Nahi Maya Adhikar. I think that's what it is. When Vasudeva was carrying Kṛṣṇa, the darkness of the night disappeared. All the prison doors automatically opened. At the same time, there was thunder in the sky and severe rainfall. While Vasudeva was carrying his son Kṛṣṇa in the falling rain, Lord Shesh, in the shape of a serpent, spread his hood over the head of Vasudeva so that he would not be hampered by the rainfall. Vasudeva came onto the bank of the Yamuna, and he saw that the water of the Yamuna was roaring with waves and that the whole span was full of foam. Still, in that furious feature, the river gave passage to Vasudeva to cross, just as the great Indian Ocean gave a path to Lord Ram when he was bridging over the gulf. In this way, Vasudeva crossed the river Yamuna. On the other side, he went to the place of Nanda Maharaj, situated in Gokul, where he saw that all the cowherd men were fast asleep. He took the opportunity to silently enter into the house of Yashoda, and without difficulty, he exchanged his son for the baby girl newly born there. Then, after entering the house very silently and exchanging the boy for the girl, he returned to the prison of Kṛṣṇa and silently put the girl on the lap of Devaki. He again clamped the shackles on himself so that Kṛṣṇa would not recognize that so many things had happened. Mother Yashoda understood that a child had been born to her But because she was very tired from the labor of childbirth, she fell fast asleep. When she awoke, she could not remember whether she had given birth to a male or a female child. Thus ends the Bhaktivedānta purport of the 3rd chapter of Kṛṣṇa, the birth of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Wow, ended just at 9 o'clock. So that is, how many hours is that? It's 2 hours, right? I think so. Let's read just a little bit more. Yeah, let's just continue reading a bit more. If anybody needs to go, I totally understand this is a long program, but yeah. All right. So, chapter 4, Kṛṣṇa begins his persecutions. After Vasudeva adjusted things as they had been before, he carried Kṛṣṇa to Gokul, and all the doors and gates became similarly closed. The gatekeepers awoke and heard the newborn child crying. Kṛṣṇa was waiting to hear the news of the child's birth, and the gatekeepers immediately approached him and informed him that the child was born. At that time, Kṛṣṇa got up from his bed very quickly and exclaimed, "Now the cruel death of my life is born." Kṛṣṇa became perplexed now that his death was approaching, and his hair scattered. Immediately, he proceeded toward the place where the child was born. Devaki, on seeing her brother approaching, prayed in a very meek attitude to Kṛṣṇa, "My dear brother, please do not kill this female child. I promise that this child will be the wife of your son. Therefore, do not kill her. You are not to be killed by a female child. The omen was said that you're to be killed by a male child. So please do not kill her. My dear brother, you have killed so many of my children who were just born, shining like the sun. That is not your fault. You have been advised by demoniac friends to kill my children. But now I beg you to excuse this girl at least. Let her live as my daughter." Kṛṣṇa was so cruel that he did not listen to the pitiful prayers of his sister Devaki. He forcibly grabbed the newborn child to rebuke his sister, and he attempted to dash her on a stone mercilessly. This is a graphic example of a cruel demon who could sacrifice all relationships for the sake of personal gratification. But the child immediately slipped out of his hands, went up into the sky, and appeared with 8 arms as a younger sister of Vishnu. She was decorated with nice garments and flower garlands and ornaments. In her 8 hands, she held a bow, lance, arrows, sword, conch shell, disc, club, and shield. Seeing the appearance of the child, who was actually the goddess Durga, all the demigods from different planets like Siddhaloka, Charanaloka, Gandharvaloka, Apsaraloka, Kinnaraloka, and Uragaloka, they presented her with various articles and began to offer their respective prayers. From above, the goddess addressed Kṛṣṇa. She said, "You rascal, how can you kill me? The child who will kill you is already born before me somewhere within this material world. Don't be so cruel to your poor sister." After this appearance, goddess Durga became known by various names in various parts of the world. I think in Mathura she's called Kankali Devi. I think so. Yeah. After hearing these words, Kṛṣṇa became very much overwhelmed with fear. Out of pity, he immediately released Vasudeva and Devaki from the bondage of their shackles and very politely began to address them. He said, "My dear sister and brother-in-law, I have acted just like a demon in killing my own nephews, your children, and thereby I have given up all consideration of our intimate relationship. I do not know what will be the result of these envious acts of mine. Probably I shall be sent to the hell where killers of Brahmins go. I am surprised, however, that the celestial prophecy has not come true. It is not only in human society that false propaganda is found. Now it appears that even the celestial denizens speak lies. Because I believed in the words of the celestial denizens, I have committed so many sins by killing the children of my sister." Is he trying to put the blame on the voice in the sky? "My dear Vasudeva and Devaki, you are both very great souls. I have no instructions to give you, but still I request that you not be sorry for the death of your children." Now he's being the philosopher. So hypocritical. "Every one of us is under the control of superior power, and that superior power does not allow us to remain together. We are bound to be separated from our friends and relatives in due course of time. But we must know for certain that even after the disappearance of the different material bodies, the soul remains intact eternally. For example, there are many pots made of earthly clay, and they are prepared and also broken. But in spite of this, the earth remains as it is perpetually. Similarly, the bodies of the soul, under different conditions, they are made and destroyed, but the spirit soul remains eternally. So there is nothing to lament over. Everyone should understand that this material body is different from the spirit soul. And so long as one does not come to that understanding, he is sure to accept the processes of transmigration from one body to another. My dear sister Devaki, you are so gentle and kind. Please excuse me. Don't be aggrieved by the death of your children, which I have caused. Actually, this was not done by me, because all these are predestined activities. One has to act according to the predestined plan, even unwillingly. Really trying to absolve himself of any responsibility there, isn't he? People misunderstand that with the end of the body, the self dies, or they think that one can kill another living entity. All these misconceptions oblige one to accept the conditions of material existence. In other words, as long as one is not firmly convinced of the eternality of the soul, one is subjected to the tribulation of being killer and killed. My dear sister Devaki and brother-in-law Vasudev, kindly excuse the atrocities I have committed against you. I am very poor-hearted, and you are so great-hearted, so take compassion upon me and excuse me. While Kṛṣṇa was speaking to his brother-in-law and sister, tears flowed from his eyes, and he fell down at their feet. Believing the words of Durga Devi, whom he had tried to kill, because Durga Devi is his Ishtadev, right? His worshipful lord, or goddess. So believing the words of Durga Devi, whom he tried to kill, Kṛṣṇa immediately released his brother-in-law and sister. He personally unlocked the iron shackles and very sympathetically showed his friendship for his family members. When Devaki saw her brother so repentant, she also became pacified and forgot all his atrocious activities against her children. Vasudeva also, forgetting all past incidents, spoke smilingly with his brother-in-law. Vasudeva told Kṛṣṇa, "My dear fortunate brother-in-law, what you are saying about the material body and the soul is correct. Every living entity is born ignorant, misunderstanding the material body to be his self. This conception of life is due to ignorance, and on the basis of this ignorance, we create enmity or friendship. Lamentation, jubilation, fearfulness, envy, greed, illusion, and madness are different features of our material concept of life. A person influenced like this engages in enmity only due to the material body. Being engaged in such activities, we forget our eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead." Vasudeva took the opportunity of Kṛṣṇa's benevolence and informed him that his atheistic activities were also due to this misconception of life, namely, taking the material body to be the self. When Vasudeva talked with Kṛṣṇa in such an illuminating way, Kṛṣṇa became very pleased, and his guilt for killing his nephews subsided. Well, that was easy. Oh, okay, I don't feel guilty anymore. With the permission of his sister Devaki and brother-in-law Vasudeva, he returned to his home with a relieved mind. But never trust a demon, like Kṛṣṇa. But the next day, Kṛṣṇa called all his counselors together and narrated to them all the incidents that had happened the night before. All the counselors of Kṛṣṇa were demons and eternal enemies of the demigods, so they became depressed upon hearing their master speak of the night's events. And although they were not very much experienced or learned, they began to give instructions to Kṛṣṇa as follows. They said, "Dear sir, let us now make arrangements to kill all children who were born within the last 10 days in all towns, countries, villages, and pasturing grounds. Let us execute this plan indiscriminately. We think that the demigods cannot do anything against us if we perform these atrocities. They are always afraid of fighting with us, and even if they wish to check our activities, they will not dare to do so. Because of your immeasurable strength, they fear your bow. Indeed, we have practical experience that whenever you stood to fight with them and began to shower your arrows on them, they immediately fled in all directions just to save their lives. Many of the demigods were unable to fight with you, and they immediately surrendered themselves unto you by loosening their turbans and their tufts of their hair on their heads. With folded hands, they begged you to spare them and said, "My lord, we are all afraid of your strength. Please release us from this dangerous fight." We have also seen many times that you would never kill such surrendered fighters when they were all fearful, their bows, arrows, and chariots broken, forgetful of their military activities, and unable to fight you. So actually, we have nothing to fear from these demigods. Are they trying to glorify Kṛṣṇa for not fighting for the surrendered fighters who surrendered their bows and chariots when he just killed all of Krishna's older brothers? My God. They are all very proud of being great fighters in peacetime. In peacetime, outside of the war field, yeah, then they're very proud of being great fighters. But actually, they cannot show any talent or military power on the war field. Although Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma are always ready to help the demigods headed by Indra, we have no reason to be afraid of them. As far as Lord Vishnu is concerned, he has already hidden himself within the hearts of all living entities, and he cannot come out. As far as Lord Shiva is concerned, he has renounced all activities. He has already entered into the forest. And Lord Brahma is always engaged in different types of austerities and meditation. And what to speak of Indra? He is a straw in comparison to your strength. Therefore, we have nothing to fear from any of these demigods. We must not neglect them, for the demigods are our determined enemies. So we must be careful to protect ourselves. To root them out from their very existence, we should just engage ourselves in your service and be always ready for your commands. The demigods continue to say, if there is some disease in the body which is neglected, it worsens and becomes incurable. Similarly, when one is not careful about restraining the senses and lets them loose, it is then very difficult to control them. Therefore, we must now be very careful of the demigods before they get too strong to be subdued. The foundation of the strength of demigods is Lord Vishnu, because the ultimate goal of all religious principles is to satisfy him. The Vedic injunctions, the Brahmins, the cows, austerities, sacrifices, performance of charity, and distribution of wealth are all for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. So let us immediately begin by killing all the Brahmins who are in charge of the Vedic knowledge, along with the great sages who are in charge of sacrificial ritualistic performances. Let us kill all the cows, which are the source of butter, which is so necessary for performing sacrifices. Please give us your permission to kill all these creatures. Actually, the limbs of the transcendental body of Lord Vishnu are the Brahmins, the cows, Vedic knowledge, austerity, truthfulness, sense and mind control, faithfulness, charity, tolerance, and performance of sacrifices. Lord Vishnu is situated within everyone's heart and is the leader of all the demigods, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Therefore, we think that to persecute the great sages and Brahmins is to kill Lord Vishnu. Thus being advised by his demoniac ministers, Kṛṣṇa, who is from the very beginning the greatest rascal, he decided to persecute the Brahmins and Vaishnavas, being entrapped by the shackles of all-devouring eternal time. He ordered the demons to harass all kinds of saintly persons, and then he entered his house. The adherents of Kṛṣṇa were all influenced by the mode of passion, as well as illusioned by the mode of ignorance, and their only business was to create enmity with saintly persons. Such activities can only reduce one's duration of life. The demons accelerated the process, and they invited their deaths as soon as possible. The result of persecuting saintly persons is not only untimely. The result of persecuting saintly persons is not only untimely death. The act is so offensive that the perpetrator also gradually loses his beauty, his fame, and his religious principles, and thus his promotion to higher planets is checked. Driven by various kinds of mental concoctions, the demons diminish all kinds of auspiciousness. An offense at the lotus feet of the devotees and Brahmins is a greater offense than that committed at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. A civilization that commits such sinful activities generally loses all faith in the Supreme Lord, and such a godless civilization becomes the source of all calamities in human society. Thus ends the Bhaktivedānta purport of the 4th chapter of Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa begins his persecutions. And now I'm going to conclude here. Tomorrow we will read about the meeting of Nanda and Vasudeva. Yes, because this describes, this describes the birth of Kṛṣṇa, Nandotsav, and the festival of Nanda Maharaj, right? Yes. And tomorrow is that festival. So we will read, I think we'll read from the Krishna book. Tomorrow we will read Srila Prabhupada's description of Nandotsav, and then we'll have a special program in honor of Srila Prabhupada. So that's our program for today. Be nice to sing something. Maybe let's just sing Krishna De Bhagavantam Vande and Radhe Jai Jai Madhavadaite, and then we'll end our program with that. Let me just open up the file. It's big text. Okay. So Shri Gauriya Giti Gucha. Sing this song, Krishna De Bhagavantam Vande. We'll sing other kirtans at other times also. But this is just for now. One second, Mike. Okay. O Krishna, O Deva, I am offering a prayer to you. Kindly place the bee of my mind within the honey of your lotus feet. Although Brahma is in full samadhi cannot catch a glimpse of even a ray of the effulgence emanating from the tips of your toenails, still, O Achyuta, having heard of the waves of your astonishing mercy, I long to receive your grace. O Madhav, although I do not possess even a sesameed of bhakti for you, still, since you are the supreme controller, you can make the impossible possible. Oh, Sanatan, I don't know what's wrong with my word. It's been having a problem. Oh, Sanatan, because your lotus feet are filled with the most wonderful ras, let the bee of my mind always reside unwaveringly in that nectar, which puts everything else to shame, for they are the essence of all sweetness. This word is, I think I need to, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let me just skip my mridanga. Give me 1 second. It's so frustrating. I can't control this. It's not even letting me scroll up there. Let me just copy this and put it onto a different file so I can close Word. There. It's not even letting me copy. Whatever. All right. 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. Noise suppression. Okay. Kṛṣṇa Deva Bhagavantam Vande. Kṛṣṇa Deva Bhagavantam Vande. Mana manasa madhukaram arpayane japara pankajamakarande Kṛṣṇa Devabhavantam Vande Kṛṣṇa Devabhavantam Vande Yadyapi samadhishu vidirapi pashyati Natavanakagramaricim Yadyapi samadhishu vidirapi pashyati Natavanakagramaricim Idami chamine shamya tavachuta tarapi kripar bhuta vichim Idami chamine shamya tavachuta tarapi kripar bhuta vichim Kṛṣṇa Devabhavantam Vande Kṛṣṇa Devabhavantam Vande Bhaktivedānta Yadyapi Madhava Natvai Mamati Lamatri Bhaktivedānta Yadyapi Madhava Natvai Mamati Lamatri Parameshwarata Tarapi Tavadhika Durghata Ghatana Vidhatri Parameshwarata Tarapi Tavadhika Durghata Ghatana Vidhatri Kṛṣṇa Devabhavantam Vande Kṛṣṇa Devabhavantam Vande Ayamavilolata Yadya Sanatana Kalitar Bhutarasabhara Ayamavilolata Yadya Sanatana Kalitar Bhutarasabhara Nevasattu Nityami Hamrita Nindini Vendana Madhurima Sara Nevasattu Nityami Hamrita Nindini Vendana Madhurima Sara Kṛṣṇa Devabhavantam Vande Kṛṣṇa Devabhavantam Vande Amara Manasa Madhukaramarpaya Nijapara Pankajamakarande Manamanasa Madhukaram Arpaya Nijapara Pankajamakarande Kṛṣṇa Devabhavantam Vande Kṛṣṇa Devabhavantam Vande Jaya Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhavadaite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhavadaite गोकुलतारुणी मण्डलमहिते गोकुलतारुणी मण्डलमहिते जय राधे जय जय माधवदायिते जय राधे जय जय माधवदायिते. Oh my god, sorry. Damodar rate vardhanaveshe harinishkuta vrindavipineshe Damodar rate vardhanaveshe harinishkuta vrindavipineshe Radhe jaya jaya madhavadaite jaya Radhe jaya jaya madhavadaite Vrishabhanudadi navashashi lekhe lalita Saki guna ramita vishake Vrishabhanudadi navashashileke Lalita Saki guna ramita vishake Karunam kurumai karuna bari Sanaka sanatana avarnita charite karunam kurumai karuna bari te sanaka sanatana avarnita charite jaya radhe jaya jaya madhavadaite Gokulataruni mandalamahite Gokulataruni mandalamahite Radhe jaya jaya madhavadaite Radhe jaya jaya madhavadaite Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Haribol. My computer battery just died. Anyhow, it's getting late. I should go over for the program at Keshaji Guriyamat. So we'll end here. All right. So I'll just do a short Jaidvani, and that will be our program for today. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vikagiri Dhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nityalila Prabhishtam Vishnupad Ashutara Shata Shishmar Bhaktivedānta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Śrīla Gurudev Ki Jai Nityalila Prabhishtam Vishnupad Shishmar Bhaktivedānta Vaman Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Prabhishtam Vishnupad Shishmar Bhaktivedānta Swāmī Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai Nityalila Prabhishtam Vishnupad Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Nityalila Prabhishtam Vishnupad Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupāda Ki Jai Nityalila Prabhishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gorkhadas Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Nityalala Pravishta Srila Satchidananda, Bhaktivedānta Thakur ki jai, Nityalala Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadas Raghunath Shad Gosai Prabhu ki jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari, Shri Gaur Parsad Vrinda ki jai, Namatar Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Kshetra Mandal Gora Mandal Vraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund ki jai, Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya ki jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai, Shri Brajendra Nandan Sham Sundar Shri Krishna Chandra ki jai, Jai Shri Nanda Baba ki jai, Shri Yashoda Maya ki jai, Shri Vasudev Maharaj ki jai, Shri Devaki Mata ki jai, Jai Dao Bhaya ki jai, Shri Baladev Prabhu ki jai, Sankarshan Balaram ki jai, Jai Shri Raseshwari Shri Vrishabhanu Nandini Shrimati Radha Thakurani ki jai, Jai Sarva Vrajavasi Gana ki jai, Sarva Vrajadevi Gana ki jai, Jai Shri Gokul Mahavan ki jai, Jai Shri Mathura Dham ki jai, Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Shri Krishna Janmashtami Titi ki jai, Titi Palan Kari Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Jai Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur Vrindai Tulsi Debai Priyaya Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavataya Namo Namaha Pancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandava Pranams, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining this reading of the Krishna book. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow for Srila Bhaktivedānta Swāmī Prabhupāda's appearance day and Nandotsav. We will continue reading from the Krishna book about Nandotsav from Srila Prabhupada, and then we will glorify Srila Prabhupada. If anybody, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarini Mataji, and Satya Mataji, and any other senior devotees like that, if they would like to glorify Srila Prabhupada, then I'll give them a time slot where they can glorify Srila Prabhupada. And yeah, so I'm hoping you can all come back and join that. Right now, since I'm on my phone, I'm not able to see all the comments on YouTube and Facebook. But yeah, pranams to everybody watching on YouTube and Facebook. I'll look at the comments later on. And pranams Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, and Sarveshwari Mataji. Who else is there? Yeah, okay. And yeah, everybody else watching on YouTube and Facebook. Pranams. Thank you so much for joining. Jai Shri Radhe. All right, Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. Oh, Nri Hari Prabhu, is there anything that you wanted to mention before I end? All right. So, Sarveshwari Mataji, no? Can't see any. Okay. All right. Dandavat Pranams. Jai Shri Radhe.